For us is France 24's Leela Jacinto. Leela, there's growing anger that's being expressed in Derna.
Absolutely, Francois. I mean, remember, this disaster is a result of a combination of climate change and capacity. And, with the grief and the shock Libyans are handling that now, and now they're increasingly looking at this capacity problem. Dernavis were painfully aware about the weaknesses of these two dams on the river, the Wadi Derna, which runs right through the city without any embankments. And in fact, just days before the disaster hit, this was September 6th, while Storm Daniel was battering Greece and Turkey, this poet from Derna, Mustafa Trabelsi, he attended a meeting at the Derna House of Culture, where the threat of flooding and the weaknesses of the dam were discussed. And this poet returned home and wrote this poem, which he posted online. And the poem was written in Arabic. It's called The Rain, and it's circulating now. And the poem basically begins: the rain exposes the drenched streets, the cheating contractor, and the failed state. Days later, Mustafa Trabelsi was dead in the flood. His poem being absolutely painfully prescient verse that is being shared. Because not only was this aware, Dernavis were trying to flag this before this disaster struck. In November, so barely a year ago, there was a big research paper published by a university in eastern Benghazi about this. Nothing was done, and so they basically has this problem of, as we know in Libya, the politics is divided. There is the internationally recognized government in Tripoli in western Libya. The eastern part of the country, there's a parliament based in Tobruk, but that region has long been controlled by General Khalifa Haftar. Now, the parliament in Tobruk in eastern Libya held its first parliamentary session on Storm Daniel yesterday, Thursday, and some of the session was broadcast on Libyan TV stations. And Libyan TV stations cover the Speaker of Parliament. This is a veteran politician, Aguila Saleh. He's very controversial. And he began his speech by admonishing Libyans and telling them that the disaster and the flooding was a matter of faith. It is a natural catastrophe from which there was no escape. And he went on to say, don't say we should have done this or we should have done that. And Libyans are expressing absolute outrage, at the tone of this administration, because the UN Weather Agency had said the worst of this disaster could have been controlled if there was normal functioning.
Yeah, and that, of course, leads to the question, with a divided nation, of the politics of humanitarian aid. Is everybody welcome?
Is aid welcome?
Is everybody welcome?
Humanitarian aid is welcome. The question is it going to reach the people needed, right? Now, the government in Tripoli has said that the UN is going to coordinate the humanitarian mission because you need a coordinating body. However, just today, the UN humanitarian chief, Martin Griffiths, said that the UN does not understand the full extent of the problem because eastern Libya has been much more isolated. Khalifa Haftar is very close to Russia, and it's been isolated. So the UN is saying it does not understand the full extent of the problem. Meanwhile, the messaging is all over the place from the east because yesterday, the authorities in the east said that they're going to close Derna city and declare it a military zone, which means Haftar's troops are in control of the city. And then there's also a matter of how this aid is going to be shared. So, for instance, the government in Tripoli has given 1.9 billion euros to an emergency relief committee, and this emergency relief committee was formed by the authorities in the east. Libyans are closely examining who is on this committee, and including on this committee, which is once again sparking a lot of discussion on social media, is Haftar's son, Saddam Haftar. So, I mean, the good news is, this money is coming from the Libyan central bank, which is controlled by the Western authorities. There is some unity in the fact that they're giving this money to the East. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of Libyans actually wondering whether this money will reach the people most in need.